September 2011, 2 months after Amy's death. Mitch Winehouse sat in quiet office. Papers scattered across desk, foundation documents, legal forms, mission statements, words that tried to make sense of senseless loss. His daughter was gone. Nothing would change that. But maybe her name could mean something beyond tragedy. Maybe her story could help others. Maybe loss could become legacy. He picked up pen, started writing. The Amy Winehouse Foundation will support vulnerable young people, will provide opportunities, will prevent harm, will remember Amy not just for how she died, but for how she lived, for her talent, her generosity, her capacity to connect with people who felt unseen. He stopped, read what he'd written, wondered if Amy would approve, wondered if this honored her or exploited her, wondered if turning tragedy into foundation was healing or avoidance. But he kept writing. The foundation launched officially in September 2011. Small ceremony, family, close friends, press coverage inevitable, but managed carefully. This wasn't publicity stunt. This was parents trying to find meaning in unbearable loss. Janice spoke at launch, Amy's mother. Quiet presence in public life, but fierce protector of daughter's memory. Her voice shook. Amy struggled. Everyone knows that. But Amy also gave. She was generous, kind, saw people others overlooked. This foundation continues that work, helps young people. Amy would have helped herself if she'd had more time. The room stayed quiet, respectful. No one asked about the drugs, the addiction, the tabloid narrative. Today was about something else, about transformation, about choosing to build rather than just mourn. The Amy Winehouse Foundation wasn't just memorial, was mission, taking pain of loss and channeling it toward preventing other families experiencing same devastation. Amy's name, so often associated with tragedy, becoming associated with hope, with support, with second chances. The foundation focused on 3 areas: addiction support for young people, music education for underprivileged youth, resilience programs for vulnerable teenagers. Each area connected to Amy's life, to her struggles, to her passions, to who she was beyond the headlines. First program launched in Camden. Music therapy sessions for at-risk teenagers. Free instruments, free lessons. Safe space to create, to express, to be seen. 15 teenagers enrolled initially, ages 14 to 18, all struggling. All from difficult backgrounds, all needing something the system wasn't providing. One girl, Sarah, 16, barely spoke first week. Sat in corner, held guitar without playing. Week 3, she played 3 chords. Week 6, she wrote song. Week 10, she performed it for group. Her song was about invisibility, about feeling unseen, about finding voice through music. Exactly what Amy would have understood. Exactly what Amy did understand. The program director, former music teacher named David, watched Sarah transform. "This is what Amy's legacy looks like," he said. "Not the tragedy. This, a girl finding herself through music. That's what Amy did. That's what Amy wanted for others." The addiction support program was harder to implement. Stigma remained. Families afraid of judgment. Young people afraid of failure. Society still seeing addiction as moral failure rather than illness requiring support. Foundation partnered with treatment centers, created scholarship fund, removed financial barriers to rehabilitation, made help accessible to families who couldn't afford private treatment. First year, they funded treatment for 23 young people, ages 16 to 25, all struggling with substances, all needing help, all getting it, because Amy's name opened doors that would otherwise stay closed. One mother wrote thank you letter, published on Foundation website. Her daughter, 19, heroin addiction, had been rejected by 3 treatment centers. Too high risk, too complex, too expensive. Foundation stepped in, funded 90-day residential treatment, follow-up care, family therapy, everything needed for real chance at recovery. The daughter, Emma, completed treatment. 1 year sober when mother wrote letter, working, studying, living. All because Foundation said yes when everyone else said no. Amy's story gave my daughter permission to struggle, Mother wrote. Showed her addiction wasn't moral failing, was illness, was treatable. Thank you for saving my daughter. Thank you for honoring Amy by helping others. Mitch read these letters constantly. Needed reminder that Foundation mattered. That Amy's death wasn't just tragedy, was also transformation. Pain becoming purpose, loss becoming legacy. He'd struggled with guilt. Every parent of addicted child does. What could I have done differently? What signs did I miss? Could I have saved her? Foundation didn't erase guilt, but channeled it. Turned what if about past into what now about future. Couldn't save Amy, but could save others. That had to mean something. Janice approached Foundation differently, less public, more hands-on. She visited programs, met beneficiaries, listened to their stories, saw Amy in each one. Teenagers struggling, feeling unseen, needing someone to believe in them. One boy, Marcus, 17, reminded her achingly of young Amy. Talented, troubled, brilliant but self-destructive. Music scholarship gave him alternative to streets, studio instead of corners, purpose instead of chaos. The Foundation grew beyond original vision. What started as memorial became movement. Amy's name, so damaged by tabloid coverage, being reclaimed, redefined, associated not with tragedy but with transformation, with hope, with lives being saved and futures being built. 3 years after launch, Foundation expanded internationally, programs in UK, US, Brazil, anywhere Amy's music had reached, anywhere young people struggled, anywhere her story could inspire rather than just sadden. Brazilian program focused on favela youth, music education, addiction prevention, mental health support, all funded by Foundation, all using Amy's name, all transforming lives. Program director, woman named Lucia, had never met Amy, but understood her impact. Amy's music spoke to feeling unseen, Lucia said, to being outsider, to struggling privately while appearing fine publicly. That's universal. Brazilian teenagers feel that too. Amy's story gives them permission to ask for help. The programs worked. Statistics proved it. Youth completing Foundation programs showed lower rates of substance abuse, higher rates of school completion, better mental health outcomes, numbers translated to lives, real people, real futures, real hope. The music education component became largest program, thousands of young people receiving free instruments, free lessons, free studio time, access to industry professionals, opportunities Amy would have treasured. One teenager, girl named Zara from East London, received guitar through Foundation, taught herself to play, started writing songs, applied to BRIT School, got accepted. Full scholarship. Same school Amy attended. Zara's acceptance letter mentioned Amy specifically. Following in footsteps of Amy Winehouse, whose Foundation made your musical education possible. Full circle. Amy's legacy enabling next generation. Her death creating opportunities for others. Tragedy becoming bridge to better futures. Zara wrote to Foundation, "I never met Amy Winehouse, but she changed my life. Because of her, I have guitar, have lessons, have hope. Thank you for keeping her alive through helping people like me." Mitch kept that letter, read it when doubt crept in, when critics questioned Foundation, when people suggested he was exploiting daughter's death. Zara's letter reminded him why this mattered. The Foundation faced criticism, inevitable. Some said Mitch was profiting from tragedy. Others questioned whether Foundation honored Amy or exploited her. Media remained skeptical, public divided. But beneficiaries told different story. Hundreds of young people whose lives changed because Foundation existed, because Amy's name opened doors, because tragedy transformed into purpose. Critics could question motives, but couldn't argue with results. Real people getting real help, real lives being saved, real futures being built. That was measurable. That was undeniable. 5 years after launch, Foundation marked milestone. 1,000 young people directly helped. Thousands more reached through prevention programs, educational initiatives, awareness campaigns. Amy's influence spreading far beyond her music. Anniversary event held at Roundhouse, same venue where Amy performed during her life. Now hosting celebration of her legacy, of lives she'd touched, of hope her name represented. Sarah, girl from First Music Therapy program, performed, now 19. Studying music at university, career forming, future bright, all starting from Foundation program. From Amy's legacy giving her chance, she sang original song about finding voice, about being seen. About Amy Winehouse showing her that struggle didn't mean failure, that vulnerability could be strength, that asking for help was courage, not weakness, standing ovation, not for Sarah's performance, for what it represented. Amy's legacy alive, thriving, transforming. Death hadn't ended her impact, had actually amplified it. Mitch spoke at anniversary event, emotional, difficult, but necessary. Amy was my daughter. I miss her every day. Nothing, no foundation, no program, no young person helped, brings her back. But this work means her death wasn't just tragedy, was also transformation. Her story saves lives. Her name provides hope. Her legacy lives in every young person this foundation helps. He paused, looked at photos of Amy projected on screen behind him. Young Amy, smiling, before everything became complicated, before tragedy, before loss. Amy struggled. She lost that struggle. But through this foundation, others don't have to. They get help she never fully accepted. They get support system she never fully had. They get second chances, third chances, as many chances as needed. Because Amy's story taught us that everyone deserves that. Everyone deserves to be seen, to be helped, to be given opportunity. Room went silent. Then applause, long, sustained, respectful, not just for speech, for commitment, for turning unbearable pain into actionable purpose. Janice worked behind scenes, quieter role, but equally important. She reviewed every application personally, every young person requesting help, every family asking for support, saw Amy in each one, chose carefully, strategically, making sure foundation resources reached those who needed them most. She established mentorship program, connected foundation beneficiaries with industry professionals, gave them networks Amy had, access Amy fought for, opportunities Amy would have wanted others to have. One mentor, producer who'd worked with Amy briefly, dedicated time to foundation youth, free studio sessions, career advice, industry connections. Amy opened doors for me, he said. I opened doors for others in her honor. That's how legacy works. 10 years after Amy's death, Foundation had grown exponentially. Multiple countries, dozens of programs, thousands of lives touched. Amy's name synonymous not with tragedy, but with transformation. Not with loss, but with legacy. Not with death, but with hope. The shift happened gradually. Media coverage changed, started focusing less on how Amy died, more on what her legacy accomplished. Articles about foundation programs, success stories, lives saved, futures built, documentaries emerged, not just about Amy's tragedy, about Foundation's work, about young people finding hope through programs bearing her name, about legacy transcending death. One documentary featured Marcus, boy who reminded Janice of young Amy, now 27, professional musician, sober 6 years, giving back through Foundation, teaching music to at-risk youth, full circle, being for others what Foundation was for him. Amy saved my life, Marcus said to camera. Never met her, but her story showed me addiction was an end. Foundation gave me tools. Amy's legacy gave me hope. Now I pass that forward. Perfect embodiment of Foundation's mission, taking tragedy, transforming it, creating chain reaction of help, of healing, of hope. Amy's death still hurt, still left whole. But whole filled gradually with purpose, with meaning, with lives being saved because she couldn't be. The foundation partnered with schools, prevention programs, mental health education, addiction awareness, reaching young people before crisis. Before struggle became emergency, before they walked path, Amy walked, one program, Voice for the Lost, taught emotional literacy, helped teenagers identify struggles, ask for help, access resources, simple concept, powerful impact. Studies showed participants less likely to develop substance issues, more likely to seek help early, more likely to survive difficult periods. Program named after Amy's gift. She'd been voice for lost ones through music. Now Foundation was voice for lost ones through action, through support, through prevention, through hope. 15-year-old girl attended program, wrote essay afterward, published on Foundation website. I used to think asking for help meant weakness. Then I learned about Amy Winehouse, how talented she was, how she struggled, how she needed help but couldn't always accept it. Her story taught me that needing help is human. Foundation taught me that getting help is strength. Thank you for existing. Thank you for using Amy's story to save people like me. Mitch read essay to Janice. Both cried. Good crying, purposeful crying. Their daughter's death still hurt, always would. But knowing her legacy helped others eased something. Didn't heal wound, but made it bearable. The foundation became part of Amy's story, not erasing tragedy, not denying struggle, but adding chapter, showing that even in death, Amy continued to impact lives. Continued to connect with lost ones, continued to be voice for those who needed hearing. Critics softened, public perception shifted. Amy Winehouse Foundation became respected organization, effective, impactful, genuinely changing lives. Mitch's commitment undeniable, Janice's dedication unquestionable, Amy's legacy secure. The work continued, would always continue, because young people would always struggle, would always need support, would always benefit from knowing that struggle doesn't mean failure, that asking for help is courage, that recovery is possible, that they're not alone. Amy's music provided that knowledge during her life. Foundation provided it after her death. Different mediums, same message, same impact, same Amy, vulnerable, honest, human, reaching people who felt unseen. Years later, Sarah returned to Foundation. The girl from First Music Therapy Program, now professional musician, successful career, stable life, but remembering where she started, remembering what saved her. She offered to teach, free, give back what was given to her, pay forward what Foundation paid into her. Mitch accepted immediately. Sarah's first class, 15 new teenagers, all struggling, all needing what she'd needed, all getting it because Amy's legacy kept giving, kept transforming, kept saving. She started lessons same way her teacher started years ago. This is safe space. Your struggles are valid. Your feelings matter. Music can help. Amy Winehouse proved that. This foundation proves it. You're not alone. You're seen. You're valued. Let's make music. 15 teenagers picked up instruments. Some confident, some hesitant. All there because Amy's name meant hope. Because Foundation existed. Because tragedy transformed into purpose. Sarah watched them play. Remembered herself at 15. Lost. Struggling. Finding salvation through music. Through program. Through Foundation bearing Amy's name. Full circle. Perfect circle. Amy's legacy alive. Thriving. Multiplying. Each person helped becoming helper. Each life saved becoming lifesaver. Chain reaction of hope extending far beyond Amy's death. Far beyond her life. Far into future she never got to see. The foundation would continue. Long after Mitch and Janice were gone. Long after everyone who knew Amy personally had died. Because impact outlasts individuals. Legacy transcends death. Hope perpetuates itself. Amy Winehouse, girl from Camden who became legend, who struggled publicly, who died too young, was saving lives, would save lives, forever. Not through what she said or what she did while living, through what happened after dying, through foundation, through transformation, through legacy, a voice for the lost ones, not just through music, through action, through hope, through tomorrow. Amy's greatest gift wasn't her music, was her humanity, her vulnerability, her willingness to be seen struggling. Foundation honored that gift, extended it, made it actionable, made it life-saving. In Camden, a teenager picked up guitar for first time. Foundation provided it. Free lesson coming next week, hope beginning today. All because Amy's name meant something beyond tragedy, meant possibility, meant future, meant help. The teenager didn't know Amy's music yet, would discover it later, but already knew her legacy, already benefited from her story. Already felt hope because Amy's death wasn't just ending, was also beginning. Beginning of help, of healing, of hope, beginning that would never end. A voice for the lost ones, forever. Camden remembers. The streets where Amy walked, the pubs where she sang, the corners where she stood. They all carry her memory still. Next time, we return to the heart of it all, where locals still tell stories about the girl who never left home. What does Camden say about Amy now? How does her neighborhood honor the legacy she left behind? Don't miss the next episode.